They knew things about my family that weren't in any database, a former Pentagon contractor whispered to me during our meeting last month. After radar operators tracked the famous Tic Tac UAP during the 2004 Nimitz encounters, witnesses reported visits from men in dark suits within days of their debriefings. What these operatives showed him on their tablet made him realize the men in black aren't just intimidating witnesses, they're protecting something far more significant than we imagine. His account mirrors patterns I've documented from the 1947 Maury Island incident to recent AARO investigations, but what's happening now feels different. The 2025 pattern, why this year changed everything. The shift began at 600 hours on February 15, 2025, when everything started to unravel. I've been tracking men in black encounters for years, and the patterns we're seeing now are unlike anything documented before. We went from scattered reports, maybe 3 or 4 cases annually across the globe, to 9 confirmed encounters in just the first 11 months of this year. That's not a statistical anomaly. That's a coordinated response to something significant. These 9 cases aren't random visits to random witnesses. Each one connects directly to major UAP disclosure developments from the Pentagon. When the Department of Defense released their updated UAP assessment in March 2025, 3 witnesses who reported sightings in the weeks prior received visits within 72 hours. The pattern repeated in June after the congressional hearings on anomalous phenomena. 4 more witnesses, 4 more visits, all within that same 48 to 72-hour window. The timing precision tells us we're dealing with an organized intelligence operation. Someone is monitoring official disclosure activities and immediately responding to specific witness accounts that pose particular threats, but the sophistication goes far beyond timing. These 2025 cases show a level of operational advancement that makes previous men in black encounters look primitive by comparison. The witnesses describe operatives who arrive with information that shouldn't exist anywhere. Not just basic personal details you might find in government databases, but intimate knowledge of private conversations, family dynamics, personal fears, and vulnerabilities that were never recorded or documented. A witness in Phoenix told me the operatives knew about a private argument he'd had with his wife 3 days after his sighting. They were alone in their bedroom. No phones, no devices, no possible surveillance equipment. Yet these men quoted specific phrases from that conversation word for word. Another witness in Tampa described how the operatives knew his daughter had called in sick to school the previous week, what she'd eaten for breakfast that morning, and the name of her childhood imaginary friend that only family members knew. This isn't conventional intelligence gathering. This is access to information that transcends normal surveillance capabilities. The psychological manipulation has evolved too. Earlier men in black encounters focused on direct threats and intimidation. These 2025 cases show a shift towards sophisticated psychological warfare using personal leverage points. They're not just telling witnesses to stay quiet. They're demonstrating why silence serves the witnesses' best interests by revealing their intimate knowledge of family vulnerabilities, career concerns, and personal relationships. One witness in Colorado Springs received a visit after reporting a daytime UAP sighting to MUFON. The operatives didn't threaten him directly. Instead, they casually mentioned his son's upcoming college applications, his wife's recent medical tests, and his elderly mother's financial struggles with her assisted living facility. The message was clear without explicit threats. They could impact every aspect of his family's life if necessary. The technological sophistication extends to their operational methods. Witnesses describe vehicles that appear and disappear without being detected by security cameras or traffic monitoring systems. Operatives who bypass electronic security measures, locked doors, and restricted access areas as if these barriers don't exist. One witness at a military installation watched 2 men in black walk through a checkpoint that required biometric authentication. The guards acted as if nothing unusual happened, but security footage from that time period was mysteriously corrupted. What's particularly disturbing is how traditional government agencies respond when witnesses report these encounters. The FBI claims no knowledge of such operations. Local law enforcement files reports that disappear from their systems within weeks. Military personnel are told these incidents fall outside their jurisdiction, but no one can identify which agency has jurisdiction. The institutional denial is so consistent across different regions and agencies that it suggests either a coordinated cover-up or genuine ignorance of who's conducting these operations. The global scope of the 2025 cases raises even more questions. Similar encounters occurred simultaneously across different continents, all following the same operational patterns and timelines. A witness in Manchester, England received a visit on the same day as witnesses in Brisbane, Australia, and Sao Paulo, Brazil. All three had reported UAP sightings within the previous week. All three described identical physical appearances, mannerisms, and technological capabilities among their visitors. The operatives demonstrate perfect language skills for each local region, but maintain subtle behavioral patterns that witnesses consistently describe as unusual or unsettling. Multiple witnesses across different countries report feeling physically uncomfortable in their presence, describing symptoms like mild nausea, disorientation, or an inexplicable sense of dread. These physiological responses occur regardless of the witness's prior beliefs about UFOs or government conspiracy. The coordination required for such international operations suggests resources and authority that exceed normal government capabilities. These operatives operate across national boundaries without diplomatic protocols, legal restrictions, or administrative oversight that typically governs international intelligence activities. They appear to have unlimited travel capabilities and jurisdictional authority that supersedes local law enforcement and national security agencies. Some witnesses report that the operatives seem to know more about ongoing UAP phenomena than official government sources. They reference specific incidents, technologies, and individuals involved in UAP research with an accuracy and detail that suggests access to classified information at the highest levels. Yet their primary mission appears to be suppressing information that official disclosure efforts are simultaneously trying to release. This creates a puzzling contradiction. The Pentagon and other agencies are gradually releasing UAP information through official channels, while these shadow operatives work to intimidate witnesses who might contribute to public understanding. Either there's a significant disconnect between official policy and field operations, or these men in black represent interests that aren't aligned with government transparency efforts. Most concerning is their escalating activity in direct response to increased official disclosure. As the government releases more information about UAP encounters, these shadow operations become more frequent and sophisticated. It's as if someone is working to prevent witnesses from filling in details that official reports leave out. Among all these cases, one stands out as particularly significant. The encounter that triggered the most immediate and sophisticated response happened at one of America's most secure military installations. What the witness saw there was so extraordinary that it warranted intervention within exactly 72 hours. The Nellis Air Force Base incident, what they saw. Staff Sergeant Michael Torres began his shift at 600 hours on February 15, 2025, expecting another routine morning on the flight line at Nellis Air Force Base. He'd worked these same aircraft for 8 years, knew every system, every component, every sound they made. What happened that morning changed everything he thought he understood about his job and the technology housed at his base. He was performing routine hydraulic system checks on an F-35 Lightning II when movement caught his peripheral vision. About 200 meters away, near Hangar 18, an object hovered approximately 15 feet above the tarmac. Not a helicopter, not any conventional aircraft he recognized. The thing measured roughly 30 feet in diameter, disc-shaped, with a metallic surface that seemed to shift between silver and a darker, almost translucent material. No visible propulsion system, no exhaust, no rotor wash disturbing the ground beneath it. The object moved with precision that defied every principle of aerodynamics he'd learned. It accelerated from a complete standstill to what he estimated as several hundred miles per hour in less than 2 seconds, stopped instantly, then reversed direction without any apparent deceleration phase. The maneuvers produced no sonic booms, no visible exhaust trails, no atmospheric disturbance. It moved like someone controlling a cursor on a computer screen, instant directional changes with no momentum transfer. What disturbed him most was how the craft interacted with base security systems. As it approached the restricted weapons storage area, perimeter sensors should have triggered immediate alerts. He watched the automated defense systems track the object for several seconds, then simply stop responding. The tracking systems continued operating normally for conventional aircraft in the area, but they acted as if the disc-shaped craft didn't exist. Security cameras mounted on nearby buildings followed the object's movements for approximately 30 seconds, then returned to their standard sweep patterns, completely ignoring its presence. Torres realized he wasn't witnessing random UAP activity. This object demonstrated intimate knowledge of base security protocols and defensive measures. It moved through restricted airspace with apparent understanding of how to neutralize automated systems without triggering broader security alerts. Someone or something was testing military capabilities with technology that operated beyond human understanding. 3 maintenance personnel worked within visual range of the incident. Torres saw his supervisor, Staff Sergeant Martinez, stop working and stare at the hovering craft for nearly 5 minutes. 2 other technicians also suspended their activities to watch the object perform its impossible maneuvers. Yet when he approached them afterward, each claimed they'd seen nothing unusual that morning. The craft's final maneuver convinced him this encounter required official documentation. The object descended to approximately 3 feet above the tarmac, directly beside a parked F-22 Raptor. For roughly 45 seconds, it remained stationary while some form of scanning beam emanated from its underside. The beam appeared as a faint, blue-white column of light that moved systematically across the fighter aircraft's surface. The F-22's electronic systems activated briefly during the scanning process, displaying navigation and weapons system information on cockpit displays despite having no pilot aboard and being completely powered down. After completing what appeared to be a detailed examination of the F-22, the craft rose vertically to about 200 feet, accelerated to supersonic speed without producing any sonic boom, and disappeared beyond the mountain range surrounding the base. The entire encounter lasted approximately 12 minutes. Torres noted the time as 6:47 hours when the object vanished from sight. He immediately documented everything in his maintenance log, including timestamps, weather conditions, and detailed descriptions of the craft's capabilities and behavior. Air Force regulations required reporting any unusual aerial activity near military aircraft, especially in restricted airspace. He photographed his written report with his personal phone, creating a backup record before submitting through official channels. His first supervisor dismissed the report completely. Staff Sergeant Martinez claimed no knowledge of any unusual activity that morning, despite having clearly observed the incident firsthand. The supervisor instructed him to remove the entry from his maintenance log and forget what he thought he'd witnessed. When he insisted on filing an official incident report, Martinez became hostile and threatened disciplinary action for filing false reports about non-existent phenomena. Torres escalated his report to the squadron commander. Major Thompson reviewed the documentation, asked detailed questions about the craft's specifications and behavior, then filed the report with base security. Within 6 hours, Major Thompson called him back to headquarters and instructed him to retract his statement. The Major explained that no unusual aerial activity had occurred that morning. Surveillance footage showed normal operations, and continuing to pursue the matter could impact his security clearance and career advancement. Base security claimed their cameras recorded nothing unusual during the time frame in question. Torres requested to review the footage personally and was told the request had been denied by higher authority. When he asked which authority had made this decision, security personnel said they couldn't provide that information. The official position became that nothing happened on February 15th that warranted investigation or documentation. 3 days after filing his initial report, Torres discovered why his sighting had triggered such immediate suppression efforts. A fellow maintenance worker privately told him that the craft he'd witnessed wasn't an isolated incident. Similar objects had been appearing at Nellis approximately once every 6 weeks for the past 8 months. Each sighting involved the same scanning behavior near advanced military aircraft. Base Command had classified these encounters at the highest levels and implemented strict protocols to prevent information about them from reaching outside channels. The scanning beam that had activated the F-22 systems represented a critical security breach. Foreign intelligence services would pay enormous sums for detailed information about how these craft interacted with American military technology. The witness had observed evidence that someone or something possessed the capability to remotely activate and examine classified weapon systems without triggering security alerts. This represented a potentially catastrophic vulnerability in national defense capabilities. Torres realized his detailed documentation and persistent efforts to report through proper channels had identified him as a security risk. His written records, photograph evidence, and refusal to accept official dismissal of his report created a paper trail that threatened controlled suppression of these ongoing incidents. Someone needed to ensure his silence before he made contact with outside researchers, media contacts, or congressional representatives interested in UAP disclosure. On February 18th, exactly 72 hours after his initial sighting report, 2 men in black suits appeared at his off-base residence. They carried credentials identifying them as federal investigators, though the agencies listed on their identification badges didn't match any government departments he recognized. They knew details about his sighting that he'd never shared with anyone, including specific measurements, timing, and technical observations that appeared nowhere in his official reports. More disturbing was their knowledge of his personal life, family relationships and private conversations that had occurred after his encounter at Nellis. What tours couldn't understand was how perfectly composed these operatives appeared despite the Nevada desert heat and their apparent travel from Washington. Every detail of their appearance seemed impossibly precise, as if they'd stepped out of a government recruitment poster rather than completing a cross-country investigation. The perfect black suits, details that don't add up. The details that witnesses notice first reveal how fundamentally different these operatives are from any government agents they've encountered before. 17 different people across multiple continents describe identical characteristics that shouldn't be possible for human personnel conducting field operations. Their suits represent the most immediate anomaly. Every witness describes perfectly maintained black fabric that shows no signs of wear, travel, or environmental exposure. Sarah Martinez in Phoenix encountered two operatives after a dust storm had coated everything in fine sand, including her own clothes from a brief walk to her mailbox. Their suits appeared freshly pressed without a single particle of dust. The fabric looked untouched despite their supposed journey across desert conditions. Manchester witness David Chen observed the same impossibility during a heavy rainstorm. The operatives had allegedly driven from London through hours of severe weather, yet their clothing showed no moisture, wrinkles from extended sitting, or any evidence of travel. He watched them walk through sheets of rain to reach his door, but their suits remained completely dry upon arrival. Physical descriptions match with disturbing precision across all cases. Height consistently between 510 and 62. Medium build without distinctive muscle definition. Dark hair maintained in identical styles with perfect grooming. Pale complexion that multiple witnesses described as waxy or artificial in appearance. Their eyes produced the most unsettling reactions. Witnesses independently use phrases like "looking through me, not at me," and describe cold, calculating expressions that never change regardless of conversation topics or emotional content. Movement patterns follow mechanical precision that human behavior rarely exhibits. They take measured steps, maintaining perfect posture throughout entire encounters. Hand gestures remain minimal and controlled. Speech patterns lack regional accents despite appearances across different countries and continents. Several witnesses noted unusual breathing patterns, taking longer, deeper breaths than normal conversation requires. The technology they carry immediately distinguishes them from standard government personnel. Their tablets feature screens more advanced than any commercially available devices. Witnesses describe displays with resolution and clarity that appears almost three-dimensional. The devices respond to touch commands without requiring actual physical contact with screen surfaces. Colorado witness James Morrison watched an operative use a tablet that projected holographic displays. Information appeared to float several inches above the screen surface while the device remained in the man's hands. Text and images seemed suspended in midair with perfect clarity. When Morrison asked about the technology, the operative closed the device and the holographic display vanished instantly. These tablets access networks that shouldn't exist within current government infrastructure. The operatives retrieve information in real time from databases beyond normal intelligence agency reach. They access classified military records, sealed court documents, private medical files, and personal communications that were never stored in centralized systems. Search speeds suggest simultaneous direct access to multiple secure networks. Transportation methods present even greater mysteries. Witnesses consistently report that operatives arrive and depart without visible vehicles. Security cameras fail to record their transportation entering or leaving properties. Neighbors maintaining constant street surveillance never observe unfamiliar cars during documented visit timeframes. Tampa resident Michael Rodriguez reviewed extensive home security footage after his encounter. Cameras clearly recorded him answering his door and conversing with two operatives for nearly an hour. The footage shows the complete conversation, but no vehicles appear in any camera angle during that period. The operatives somehow arrived and departed without using detectable transportation. Phoenix witness attempted to document their departure by watching from his window. He observed both operatives walk down his driveway and around the street corner. He immediately drove to that intersection less than 30 seconds later and found the area completely empty. No vehicles, no pedestrians, no evidence anyone had been present. The nearest cross street was over a quarter-mile away, impossible to reach on foot in such a brief time frame. Their knowledge surpasses classified government clearances by significant margins. They reference specific details from Pentagon briefings that occurred days before their visits. They demonstrate awareness of internal discussions between high-ranking military officials and congressional leaders. They know classified research projects, budget allocations, and personnel assignments existing at the most restricted national security levels. Virginia encounter involved operatives mentioning a classified Pentagon briefing from 2 days earlier. The witness had no knowledge of this meeting, but later confirmed through contacts that such a briefing had occurred. The operatives knew specific discussion details, attendee lists, and decisions made. This information wasn't available to anyone outside the briefing room. Access to restricted areas defies normal security protocols entirely. Multiple witnesses report seeing these operatives in locations requiring extensive background checks and special clearances. They appear at military installations, government facilities, and corporate research centers without triggering security alerts or producing proper authorization credentials. Former defense contractor security guard described watching 2 operatives walk through multiple checkpoint barriers without stopping for verification procedures. Guards at each checkpoint acted normally, as if the men possessed proper clearance, but no records existed of their authorization or visit in security logs. Computerized access control systems showed no activity during the time frame when operatives clearly moved through restricted areas. Physical discomfort affects witnesses identically across all cases. Symptoms include mild nausea, disorientation, and inexplicable dread sensations. Some describe feeling their thoughts were being monitored or influenced. Others report temporary memory gaps during operative conversations. These physiological effects appear deliberately induced. Witnesses describe increasing discomfort as conversations progress, suggesting low-level electromagnetic field effects on nervous systems. Several mentioned mild headaches beginning when operatives arrived and disappearing immediately after departure. Most disturbing is their knowledge of completely private activities. They reference conversations occurring in private homes without surveillance equipment present. They know family discussions, personal relationships, and private decisions never communicated electronically or documented anywhere. This surveillance capability extends beyond current government technology into impossible territory. The Nellis mechanic was about to discover exactly how extensive this impossible knowledge really was when the taller operative reached for his tablet device. The tablet revelation, information that shouldn't exist. The screen illuminated with information that made Tor's stomach drop. A detailed profile appeared with his full name, social security number, military service record, and current assignment at Nellis. Standard government information that he expected them to have access to. But as the operative swiped through screens, the data became increasingly personal and impossible. The device displayed his wife's work schedule for the previous week, including the specific times she'd taken her lunch breaks and which coworkers she'd eaten with. It showed his teenage daughter's text message conversations with her boyfriend from 3 days earlier, complete with timestamps and message content that should have been encrypted on her personal phone. The tablet contained his son's college application essays, including drafts that existed only on the family computer at home. The operative continued scrolling through information while watching Tor's reaction. Bank account balances, recent purchases, medical appointments, and family photos that had never been uploaded to any online service. The device showed his wife's private journal entries from her personal notebook that she kept in their bedroom dresser, handwritten thoughts and concerns about their marriage, their finances, and her worries about their children's future. What disturbed him most was seeing a transcript of a conversation he'd had with his wife 2 nights after his UFO sighting. They'd been lying in bed, discussing whether he should continue pursuing his report about the incident. His wife had expressed concerns about potential career consequences if he pushed too hard against his superior's instructions to drop the matter. The tablet displayed their exact words, including her suggestion that maybe it was better to let it go, and his response that he couldn't ignore what he'd witnessed. This conversation had taken place in their bedroom, late at night, with no electronic devices active. Their phones had been charging in the kitchen. No smart speakers, no computers, no surveillance equipment of any kind present in the room. Yet the operatives had a verbatim record of their private discussion, including emotional nuances and specific phrases that would be impossible to capture without being physically present in the room. The psychological impact hit him like a physical blow. The realization that his family's privacy had been completely compromised, that intimate moments between husband and wife were being recorded and analyzed by unknown individuals, created a sense of violation that went beyond simple intimidation. These people had access to the most sacred aspects of his personal life, information that no government agency or intelligence service should possess or even want to collect. The operative showed him video footage from inside their home that shouldn't exist. Security cameras captured his family's daily routines, private conversations, and personal moments that occurred in rooms with no surveillance equipment. The footage showed his daughter doing homework in her bedroom, his son playing video games in the basement, and his wife cooking dinner while talking on the phone with her sister. Every camera angle was perfect, every audio recording crystal clear, despite the complete absence of any recording devices in their home. The tablet revealed they knew about his financial concerns, his wife's recent job dissatisfaction, and his son's struggles with college admission requirements. They had detailed information about his elderly parents' health problems and his brother's recent divorce proceedings. Personal family matters that had never been discussed outside immediate family circles, never documented in any official records, never communicated through electronic means that could be intercepted. The operative explained how this information could be useful in ensuring his continued cooperation. His wife's employer was currently reviewing staff for potential layoffs. His daughter's college applications were being processed by admissions committees who valued recommendations from respected sources. His son's part-time job at a local restaurant could be affected if certain health code violations came to light during routine inspections. The message was clear without explicit threats. They could impact every aspect of his family's future if his cooperation wavered.